It is a wintry day at Detweiler Park on the banks of the Illinois River in Peoria. The Sports Channel brings you highlights of the 47th Annual Illinois High School Association Boys and Girls State Cross Country Championships. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Stalker, and welcome as for the fourth consecutive year, Sports Channel brings you highlights of our 4 races as we will crown individual and team champions for both boys and girls on the A and AA level. These are the best. They have qualified through regional and sectional competition to get here to the state finals. Once again at my side, Lee Hallberg, and Lee, as the difference between track and cross country is obvious. Track, you've got the even surface, you've got controlled conditions. Here, you're not only competing against your opponent and yourself, you're competing against the course.
Well, that's true, and last year, as you recall, it was a horrible day for most of us, but today is ideal. I'm sure the hardcore fans of cross country are loving this day.
Exactly. You might say, hey, temperatures are in the 30s. We do have snow flurries in the air, but for the runners, this actually is a good day, because it keeps you cooler, obviously.
Well, it is forecast the high will be only 35. It's going to be a great day to run.
Our first race of the day is the Class A girls, and individually, Treasure Schultz has to be considered the favorite. She is the top returning finisher from a year ago. She was third last year. She is from Gardner, South Wilmington.
She finished first in the state in track in the 3,200-meter run, and in the 1,600-meter run, I think she's the odds-on favorite and will be tough to beat.
She was also the winner at her sectional, but also Carla Godwin of Herscher, one of the team favorites as well. Herscher, but Carla, they came in with identical times in that sectional, so she may be a dark horse.
I think she, along with a few other girls, we'll see up front early.
In the terms of the team battle, Argenta Oriana is ranked number 1, and they have to be, Lee. They came out of that tough normal U-High sectional, winning that sectional, beating the number 2 and 3 ranked teams in Seneca and Herscher.
6 of the top 7 ranked teams ran in that sectional meet, and of course only 5 could qualify. I think probably it could have been a preview of the state meet, Tom.
Argenta Oriana has a 1-2 punch of Karen Block, who was 5th a year ago, but they also got a great addition when Sarah Eliff, who was 29th a year ago for Niantic Harristown, joined the team as part of the co-op program.
Well, she's definitely a shot in the arm. I think the key thing is Argenta Oriana is going to have a good race out of their 5th girl.
They are young. They have 3 freshmen. Well, and Herscher is a veteran team. They're the defending champs.
I agree. If Argenta Oriana falters, I think there are a handful of teams that will be right there.
So we are set for the first of our 4 races. Let's go now to the starting line. And so the girls are off and running in our first race of the day, the Class A girls finals. And this, for many of these Class A girls teams, is the biggest meet they participate in all year. And so the strategy at the start is very, very important and something that they haven't been familiar with through the course of the season.
Tom, many of these teams have run here throughout the season. The opportunity to run on this course has increased greatly over the years. So I would imagine, even though we've got many girls that are young and relatively new to high school cross country, I think probably their experience on this course will serve them well.
We have seen in years past in other races the different strategies, especially in the boys. Some teams will shoot out towards the left of your screen, and others will shoot to the far right. But here in the girls, they basically have stayed in one pack as they come down this first stretch. The girls run 2 miles, by the way. The boys run 3. And just to give you a little information as to how we score a cross-country meet for the team championship, you have 7 runners. Your first 5 finishers count. You add up the total of their place finishes, and the team with the lowest score is the winner. So it's low score wins in cross-country, and that's where that 5th man or 5th runner, that depth really plays into importance, Lee, because if that finisher falters 20 places back, that's 20 more points tacked onto your score.
It is a huge difference in the final outcome. Many coaches like to have their teams and individuals run a little bit wide of the chalk line on this first curve so that they don't get jammed up on the inside.
We have seen runners try to take that early command, and essentially what they're trying to do, Lee, is burn off the competition if they can hold on, though, at the end.
Well, the top individuals have been able to do it successfully, and Susan Gibson is an outstanding individual. She may be able to do this, but it's still too early to tell.
The other point is this part of the race where she has stretched out the lead, you are running uphill.
Well, that's true. It's early. She's using that adrenaline. The excitement right now is carrying these runners through the early portion of this race. But she looks strong.
Mary Ellen Hill, who is back in 2nd place, is running only her 3rd race of the year, and she is 2 for 2 in the other 2 races, winning the Elmwood Sectional and the Kewanee Regional. She played volleyball and then would run in the morning and also late at night with her dad, keeping her pace alongside riding his bicycle.
Well, it's an interesting story to say the least. It's tough to gauge just how well she's going to do today, but obviously in the 2 tests she's had, she's met the challenge, so to speak, and she is today thus far.
But right now, Sue Gibson of Trenton Westland, about a 20 to 25 yard lead as they make this turn back behind the start-finish line area. Approaching the mile mark now, Sue Gibson of Trenton Westland, and she is at 5:40, 5:41, 5:42. So right now, she is about at 12:20 pace.
She's running well. She looks like she's going to be tough to catch. And I'm not certain anybody else in that second group is interested in that right now. They may, as I mentioned, be trying to key off of one another and really concentrating on the team race, which we felt that would be very close, and there several teams have a shot at winning today.
But there is still one area left, Lee, where this race always seems to hinge, and that is when they make the turn off the main course to the North Loop here, where we cannot get to the access, and when they emerge from that North Loop, that always seems to be where things change drastically.
I think a real telling factor will be the interval between this young lady and the rest of the field when she comes out of this North Loop.
And again, right now, that is Sue Gibson of Trenton Westland, and she has a commanding lead over the pack as she approaches now that turn off to the North Loop. And we'll pick up the battle for right now. At second place is Chrissy Myers of Dallas City. Running in third place right now, wearing number 51, Kathy Greenfield, one of the favorites from Elmhurst Timothy Christian. But now, Lee, will watch and see if we can pick up the team battle, and Herscher right now looks to be very strong. I've seen 3 of their runners already. And Argena Oriana has also gotten at least 2 through so far. But as you watch the girls stream by that long line, let's talk a little bit about the pack running concept in cross country. That's one thing you try to do, Lee, is to keep especially your 5 scorers together. You'd like to get all 7 as close together as you can.
Well, you'll hear coaches talk about the split, and that is the time variance between their number 1 runner and their number 5 or number 7 runner. And of course, the lower that split, the tighter the group runs together, the lower the point total will ultimately end up being, and the teams that have the lowest split will be the most successful today if their group is up near the front.
Right now, she has made the turn now to head south towards the finish line. Sue Gibson of Trenton Westland, the freshman. And of course, that's another characteristic we see, especially in the A girls, the underclassmen becoming dominant early in their careers.
I think it's tough for that reason to call each year. It's you don't always see the seniors dominate in this sport, and there are a number of top freshmen in this race today. I'm sure the final results will point that out. We've got about a quarter of a mile left in this race. It's her race to lose, Tom.
Right now, she is at 10:53. The best Class A time. Of course, the girls started the 2-class system in 1988. Best Class A time, Becky Garrett of Sparta in 1990, ran 11:47. I don't think she'll threaten that mark today, but she moved out on that first lap around the main course, Lee, and she has not seen any of her lead shrink at all, and nobody from the pack came up to challenge her as the fans along both sides here down the home stretch applaud our leader, Sue Gibson, the freshman from Trenton Westland, who is now at 11:30.
Sue Gibson. Sue is from Independent Westland, 11:30. She is a freshman.
So a potential 4-time champion here with Sue Gibson finishing strong here in the girls' Class A.
Well, you notice that the number 2 and 3 runners have closed the gap a little bit, but I'm afraid it's too much of one to close.
Treasure Schultz is making a bid back there,
Yes.
moving into second place.
Yes, and the battle for second and third has brought these girls back towards the leader.
Right now it's at 12:07. And it is Sue Gibson winning. And right now there's Treasure Schultz going stride for stride with number 52, Erica Schmidt of Timothy Christian. Treasure Schultz will finish second. Schmidt will finish third. And a strong bid into fourth place goes Kathy Greenfield of Timothy Christian. The time, 12:17, by the way, unofficially, for Sue Gibson of Trenton Westland. And now we'll take a look and see if we can get a handle on the team battle. I've seen two Herscher finishers, and here I believe is our first Argenta finisher. That is Karen Block. Here are the top 5 girls for Class A, as the sophomore Chrissy Myers of Dallas City was 5th at 12:34. Second slower than Kathy Greenfield of Timothy Christian of Elmhurst, who was 10th last year, finishing 4th this year. Erica Smith of Timothy Christian, her teammate, finished at 12:24 in 3rd. Treasure Schultz improved from 3rd a year ago to 2nd this year. The senior from Gardner, South Wilmington, ran 12:23. And the freshman, Sue Gibson of Trenton Westland, with a winning time of 12:17.
I knew that girl Treasure Schultz was a really good runner. And since I got first in regionals and first in sectionals, I said, why not head for top 10? When you want to sneak up on somebody, you know, it's kind of hard to do, but I don't even focus on anybody. I just run my own race, and that's it.
So there you see the top 5 girls, with Herscher getting 3 in the top 10. That helped offset that 55 points they got from the number 5 runner, as they scored 98 points. They scored 120 points last year to win. They beat Seneca by 20 points, who had 118. Argenta Oriana had 3 in the top 15, but saw 52 points and 61 points posted by their 4th and 5th runners to score 141 points and finish 3rd. University High of Urbana finished 2 points behind with 143, and Westmont was 5th with 160 points.
I'm not sure that Argenta didn't run as well as they could today, and I don't believe Seneca did either. But I don't think they could have beaten us. On another day, we ran so well today. We had 7 girls run their best time of the year. So today we were the best. They've been through the grind. There's 4 of them that ran last year, and it wasn't that nerve-wracking like it has been in the past. Just winning that trophy, you know, getting that first championship under your belt, I could relax, and I think that's a big factor. So I'm not tense, and they're not tense.
More from the state cross-country championships at Detweiler Park in Peoria after we take this time out. Welcome back as we now get ready for our second race of the day, the Class A boys. We are right here where it all winds up. This is the promised land, Lee, the finish chute.
Well, it's not over till they finish here, Tom.
Okay, now our first 3-mile race of the day. We saw in the first race in the Class A girls a rather surprising strategy. Do you think we might see that same kind here in the second race?
I'm not certain. Many of the top individuals are also here with teams that have qualified. It'll be tough to tell. I think if someone tries to break it open and steal the race, I think there'll be some people go with that person.
Individually in the Class A boys, you got to take a look at Barry Pierman of Georgetown Ridge Farm, the top returning finisher. He was 3rd a year ago, but he's also had a couple of 3rd-place finishes the last 2 weeks in sectional and regional action.
Well, there are a number of young men who can win this today. I have seen Christian Natush from Rushville this season. He's outstanding. I talked with his coach, Dick Tucker, from Rushville, and he assures me that the young man is physically ready. He's very mentally tough, and he's mechanically sound.
Natush, a foreign exchange student from Germany. Also, Arthur's John Jess has been a very strong performer in regional sectionals. He won that very strong normal U-High sectional, so you've got to consider him a contender.
As well as Brian Allen from St. Joe Ogden, I believe.
And perhaps some other individuals that could figure, the likes of Dave McEvers of Petersburg Porta and Joe Alexander of Clinton. A lot of those guys have gone head-to-head all season long because they've all been from that same central Illinois area.
That's going to be a fun race, and I think it's going to be one that may take shape much like others have this year.
While those individuals have gone head-to-head quite a bit through the course of the season, team-wise, so have our top teams. In fact, the top 4 teams are at the normal U-High sectional, and emerging from that was the host team, the normal U-High club, finishing first ahead of St. Joe Ogden and Georgetown Ridge Farm and Coal City, all fine teams.
Well, it was very close. And again, a preview perhaps of what we'll see today. Normal U-High won by 2. It's wide open and up for grabs.
St. Joe Ogden is the defending champion in the Class A boys. We're about ready for the start. Let's now go over to the starting line. And they are off and running now in the boys' Class A state final. They are running 3 miles. After they go into that north loop, they will come back around the main course for one more loop before they head into the finish chute. One thing that we talk about in the team battle with these teams being so familiar with each other, Lee, is that they know each other, they know each other's moves, they know each other's uniforms, they're looking out for each other. Is that a chance maybe for somebody else to sneak through?
Well, it can be. Many of these top teams have run against each other throughout the season. The coaches have made an attempt to go to the top meets throughout the state, and consequently they've had an opportunity to run against each other. We said earlier that 3 teams appear to be the favorites. There were 10 points that separated Normal, U-High, Georgetown, Ridge Farm, and St. Joe Ogden last Saturday. So we'll probably see all 3 of them battling up front.
We may have the potential for a very high-scoring finish because, you know, when you have so many teams going against each other, the difference in those 4th and 5th guys of 10, 15 places can really mount up those points. They are heading towards the end of that long starting stretch, getting ready to make the first turn to head back south on the course here at Detweiler Park, and the snow flurries have begun to fall once again. But the wind is rather low, and it really is a very good day to run. From Sparta, Freddie Miller, trying to do perhaps what Sue Gibson did in the Class A girls race. And, you know, in a little bit of retrospect back to that Class A girls race, now we have 20/20 hindsight. That pack just waited for her to come on back and never did.
It never did, Tom. As we passed the half-mile point, the leaders came through at about 2:20.
Right now we are at 2:33. The Millers' lead beginning to shrink over the pack.
The field's starting to come back. You see John Jess to the left of your picture, also starting to battle.
He is in the white over red.
Christian Natouche in gold in the center of your picture.
And we'll have time to talk about Christian Natouche, the foreign exchange student from Germany, speaks 3 languages, German, Russian, and English. But now it is a pack with John Jess of Arthur leading the way. Right now we are at 3:12.
See Barry Pearman to the right, battling back in about 3rd from Georgetown Ridge Farm as well.
John Jess, second in the 1,600-meter finals last May in Charleston, was the winner at the normal U-High sectionals we talked about, and also won the Argenta-Oriana regional by 59 seconds. And he right now has taken the lead as they get ready to make the turn around the tree. John Jess of Arthur with Jason Zarin of Carmi White County running second. At the mile, they are at 4:53.
Right where you would expect the leaders to be. They haven't gone out too fast. They're under control, but yet these young men have positioned for a shot at battling in that 2nd mile to try to break it open.
They went through at 14:39 pace. The top AA time, 13:56.6, set by Tom Graves, the great runner from Sandburg in '77. And of course, the overall best time may never ever be equaled. Craig Virgin's 13:50.6 ran in 1972 in the early years when the meet first moved here to Detweiler Park.
Unbelievable standard, to say the least. We're going to get an opportunity to see what the team race looks like. Maybe a little bit easier to determine here than it was in the first race today.
7 runners have moved into that front pack, and 2 are from Georgetown Ridge Farm, as Jason McKinney has also joined his teammate Barry Pearman in the hunt, and running right now 3rd for Georgetown Ridge Farm, Curtis Weiss. I've already seen 3 of their runners come through as they head to the North Loop.
St. Joe Ogden as well is running an outstanding team race at this point as they head into that North Loop.
Runners now getting ready to emerge from the North Loop, and towards the end of that loop, it looked like Barry Allen had moved into the lead, but also now Jason Zarin has regained the lead. In the yellow to the left of the pack, you see Christian Natouche from Rushville, and also up there Barry Pearman. Right now it's become a 5-man race. You see Pearman, you see McEvers from Petersburg, Florida, also up in the top 5. And it's developing into a strategy race now.
Well, it is. I tell you, this is just a great race, one that I love to see. It's going to be a test, not only their physical stamina, but their mental endurance and their courage today.
We're at 8:37. It's Jason Zarin, Barry Pearman, Barry Allen, Christian Natouche, Dave McEvers.
Zarin has not appeared to want to relinquish that lead. He has maintained a bit of a lead throughout this middle mile, but the others seem to be running well in control, ready to make a move at any point.
Zirin, a veteran here at Detweiler and also at the state track meet. Zirin 5th a year ago, 10th as a sophomore in 1990. Zirin, the 3,200 meter champion last May at Charleston, and was 6th in the 1,600 meters last May. He was the winner of the Benton sectional, established himself as one of the favorites. But there's Christian Natouche, who is undefeated in competition this year.
He looks strong. He looks very comfortable at this point. If you look comfortable at this point.
He looks like he's out for an afternoon run on the park.
Well, literally that's what he is. But I think there's a whole lot more at stake here.
And you've also got to talk about just the culture difference for a youngster like Christian Natouche. Here a couple of years ago, the Berlin Wall is still up. He's living in East Germany. And now a couple of years later, Germany is one country, and he's competing in Peoria, Illinois, in the Illinois State High School Championships.
He's trained in an excellent system, the East German system. He is mechanically sound as you watch him run, very efficient.
Approaching the 2-mile mark there at 10:03, 10:04. We're now on the backstretch here along Illinois 29. And you see that Christian Natouche of Rushville has taken the lead. We are already 11:38 into the 3-mile race. Barry Pearman now running second. Jason Zirin is third. Dave McEvers of Petersburg-Porta is fourth. Barry Allen is back in fifth. And I see back in sixth place is Jason McKinney of Georgetown Ridge Farm. So they're going to get some very low points from their first two runners.
Looks good for them team-wise. At the 2.25 mile mark, Christian Natouche made a move, Tom. He surged. He's opened up about a 5-yard lead at this point, a little more than a half mile ago, and he looks awfully strong. Barry Pearman, Jason Zirin, though, not ready to throw in the towel. They're right there if Natouche falters.
Christian Natouche making the turn to head back south. And, about a little over a quarter mile to go before the finish line. But now it's his race. He is in control.
Yes, I'm not sure he can be challenged at this point unless that race for second brings both Zirin and Pearman back to Natouche.
Zirin may be paying the price for setting the pace there for a while.
I thought so, too. It's possible. Of course, it's easy to second guess at this point, but it looked like those behind drafted a little bit off of his lead.
But still, that bodes well. Pearman being up there in second place for Georgetown Ridge Farm. They have had a string of second-place finishes. Right now, we are 13:51 into the race. They were second at the normal U-High sectional, second at the Cushman Regional, second in the Illini Central Conference meet. The snow picking up. The snow flurries continue here at Detweiler Park in Peoria on the banks of the Illinois River. We've got just about 300 meters to go. 14:16 now the time for Christian Natouche. And again, the top AA time, 13:56, so we won't threaten that mark set by Tom Graves. But Christian Natouche, and we'll be talking to him a little bit later in the show. Lee, I hope your Russian's better than mine.
I'm trusting that he's Americanized to the point where he can visit with you, Tom.
Christian Natouche, just meters now from the finish line of 14:45. Barry Pearman will finish second. Natouche at 14:52 unofficially. Barry Pearman at 14:55. Jason Zirin third. He will not break 15 minutes. Here's Dave McEvers of Petersburg-Porta, running number 472. He finishes at 15:06. So here are the top 5 boys finishers, with Chad Rice of Robinson finishing 5th at 15:17. Dave McEvers of Petersburg-Porta finishing 4th at 15:08. Jason Zirin, who finished 5th last year, finishes 3rd this year from Carmi-White County. His time was 15:04. Barry Pearman improves a spot from a year ago. He finished 2nd with the time of 14:57. And there you see Christian Natouche, the senior from Rushville, the boys Class A winner at 14:53.
Because I'm German, a top runner, and I thought maybe I could do the same in Illinois and go in the top 10 or top 5 runner in the competitions. But today, win every race, get first in cross-country state championships. I didn't expect this.
And there are the top 5 teams for boys Class A, with St. Joseph Ogden scoring 101 points. Not quite the 46 points they scored in winning a year ago, but it was enough. 8 points better than Georgetown Ridge Farm, who had 3 in the top 7, but saw 41 points and 55 points racked up by their fourth and fifth runners to score 109 points. In fact, Georgetown Ridge Farm had 3 in before St. Joseph Ogden's second man came through the chute. Coal City finished third with 117 points. Normal University High finishing in fourth with 149, and Joy Westmer finishing in fifth place with 161 points.
I had a couple real question marks. My number 4 runner hurt his knee on Wednesday, didn't run at all on Thursday, didn't run at all on Friday, so I wasn't sure how he'd come back, and he just ran a really gutty race. He was 50th with about 500 meters to go and ended up 35th. And our number 5 runner was sick and ran a terrible race in the sectionals, and he came back and ran a really strong race for us today, which was crucial because Georgetown really whipped us up front today. Last year was exciting, but this year was definitely more satisfying. We knew coming into the state meet that it would be very close, that any one of 4 teams could win it. And to win, I guess, when you're maybe not favored to, that makes it that much more sweet.
Back with more after this timeout on Sports Channel. Now for the AA girls, our third race of the day. And Lee, as our viewers can probably tell, this has not suddenly become a Christmas special. It is definitely snowing. The snow has picked up.
Well, I think it's going to bother us more than it is the runners today. I think they will have to run cautiously on the turns. We noticed with all the traffic, it's starting to turn into mud on some of those turns.
Individually here in girls AA, Kim Malmquist of Naperville North, the sophomore, had been cruising along to an undefeated season until all of a sudden in the New York sectional when a freshman from Downers Grove North, Bridget Butrin, suddenly knocked her off and beat her by 14 seconds.
She's running well, having a good year. I think Becky Coleman from Libertyville will be another individual up front, along with Jenny Zare from Hersey.
Talk about the young performers. As Malmquist is a sophomore, she was beaten by the freshman Butrin. Jenny Zare of Hersey is a sophomore, or is a freshman herself. So the young runners really have become dominant in the AA level this year in girls.
I'm impressed with the number of underclass women again, and I think we'll see some of these same teams, some of these same individuals here next year battling. With
the group of individuals like that, could we see a similar type of race we saw in the A boys where they stay in a pack?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Now in the team battle, Palatine, one of our 2 teams today going for their 4th consecutive state title, seemed to be cruising along to that state title until suddenly at the Wheaton North Falcon Classic, they were beaten by Naperville North. It is a flighted event, which is run in a different format from what we have here in the state meet. But suddenly we went from a 1-team race with Palatine cruising to suddenly Naperville North has to be a serious contender.
Well, some think Palatine will be unbeatable today, even though they have been beaten. But I think it looks like it's going to be a 2-team race.
But could have that been a wake-up call for Palatine?
Well, and yes, indeed, and maybe they needed it.
So we're getting set for that. You see behind us are urban assault vehicles that take us around the course here. We work here from the back of these Jeeps. I guess I don't know if they still call them Jeeps anymore. We want to thank the men of the 169th Tax Romads. All those letters add up to something. And the leader, Technical Sergeant Jim Morrison, and the rest of the doors have been really great in helping us, getting us around the course here today. And you can also see why me at 5'10", I get this assignment rather than Tom Dorr at 7 feet. Fit better in the back of these things. And so they are off now in the girls' AA state finals, beginning their 2-mile jaunt around Detweiler Park as the snow has picked up. And that is the freshman Butrin moving into the lead. She wears number 121, and she may be taking a cue from our Class A girls winner, Sue Gibson, the freshman who jumped out early and went on to win the state championship. Bridget Butrin, who was the winner, defeating and upsetting Kim Malmquist at that York sectional, she has taken the early lead. Butrin was also the winner at the Lions Regional, and she was the conference champion at the West Suburban Silver. Struggled early. In fact, she wasn't even the number 1 runner for Downers Grove North to start the season, as few freshmen would be, but she quickly emerged into her team's number 1 runner.
Well, they have a great tradition in women's cross country at Downers Grove North, and it's not surprising to see an individual move to the front.
And the snow also beginning to collect on the course. As you can see, our vehicle leaving tracks behind as Bridget Butrin right now with the lead. And running second, that is Jenny Marine, the senior from Naperville North. To the far left of your screen, wearing 171, that is Becky Coleman of Libertyville. And right along her, one of the top runners for the last couple of years, Kelly Carl.
Well, Libertyville looks like they've gotten out well in this race team-wise. I see 3 young ladies, it appears, from Libertyville in the top 20.
I also see 3 from Palatine. We are at 3:18 into the race. In fact, now it's sort of difficult. They have spread out to it, difficult to see exactly who is leading. It looks like that Becky Coleman has taken over the lead.
I believe she has on the left of your picture.
Coleman 7th last year, 17 seconds behind the winners, and as a sophomore 2 years ago was 37th. Becky Coleman second in the 3,200-meter run last May in Charleston. She has the lead. Butrin right now looks like she is in second. Kelly Carl is in third. And Palatine with 2 runners right up there about in 4th and 5th, and I can't identify them at this time. They still have about another 150 yards or so to the 1 mile mark. We're at 5:24.
5:25, 5:20.
And you can hear them call out the time as Becky Coleman of Libertyville approaches the 1 mile mark at 5:33.
Well, she is really out well and running strong. She has broken this open to about 40 yards. Becky Coleman, 7th a year ago, is in control at this point, and she's going to be able to run that north loop at her will.
And she is on 11:06 pace, which would be the best in AA. Back in 1990, Erin Boland of McHenry ran 11:13. The best girls overall time here at Detweiler, 11:16. Dana Marabali, when she won her 4th consecutive title, the great star from Wheeling in 1987, ran 11:16. So she's on faster than record pace right now.
She may have to do it by herself. It looks like that second group is a bit too far back to really help her in this next 600 meters of the North Loop.
Right now, the battle is for second place as they get ready to head into the North Loop, and we'll also try to help pick up the team battle as Becky Coleman goes by with the lead, and it's a pack for second. Right now, Jenny Zare, the freshman, is running in second place with Butrin in third, Justman in 4th, running in 5th spot, Jenny Marine running 6th, wearing number 61, Stephanie Derringer of Champaign Centennial. And emerging from the North Loop at 9:11 is Becky Coleman, and you can see she still has a commanding lead here in the AA Girls State Cross Country Finals. Detweiler Park in Peoria, and you can see the snow has really picked up and is becoming much more noticeable on the ground.
She's extended her lead such that we can't see the next group of runners yet as they come out of that North Loop.
We'll have to wait until we make the turn and head back towards the south, towards the start-finish line. But as we take a look back, we can see that the freshman, Jenny Zare, is running in second. We are at 9:48. Jenny Zare right now of Hersey is in second. Bridget Butrin, another freshman, is in third place. And then comes 2 Palatine runners. And I believe that's one of them is Julie Justman. How much do you attribute the experience that Palatine has? 3 consecutive state championships, and they were such a young team when they won the first in that string, our first year of doing this television 3 years ago.
Well, they again have a great tradition in women's cross country. It gives strength to these younger runners. It gives confidence coming into this meet, knowing that, hey, we've always run well here, we're going to do it again.
Well, here, the epitome of cross country. Over the snow we go, 10:36 right now, as she has just about 400 yards to go. She makes that final little turn right there to head down the home stretch. Becky Coleman right now in command.
She's run a textbook race, Tom. She's run the shortest distance between the turns. She has really run efficiently.
We're coming up on 11 minutes, mark 11 minutes. Becky Coleman, the North Suburban Conference champion, beating Erica Chung by 15 seconds. She was the Mundelein regional winner, was second at the Schaumburg sectional. Also had wins at the Wildcat Invitational at Wheeling, was second in that big Falcon Classic at Wheaton North, was also the winner of the Pirate Invitational at Palatine. There you see the pack way back. The battle for second. Jenny Zare of Hersey right now looks to have the lead for second. But Becky Coleman right now, she'll have to push herself. We're at 11:34. Down the finish she comes. We're right now at 11:48. Becky Coleman took command there on that first loop and has never looked back. She is going to be the girls AA individual state champion. Just over 12 minutes. Here comes the battle for second. It's Justman and Zare wins, just edging Julie Justman. Second there, or third, is Carolyn Currens of Palatine. There goes Claudia Baquet of Palatine. So Palatine, 3 of the top 6, it looked like, Lee Halberg. And look at the impact the freshmen have had in the girls' individual finals. In the top 5, 3 are freshmen, including Bridget Butron of Downers Grove North, who finished 5th, and freshman Carolyn Currens, the freshman from Palatine, who was at 12-13. Julie Justman finishing as an All-Stater for the 4th straight year. She was 3rd at 12-12. And Jennifer Zare, a freshman from Hersey, finishing 2nd, also at 12-12. Becky Coleman, 7th a year ago, comes away the state champion for girls in AA with a winning time of 12:06.
And this time, you as a senior looked like you really reached down for your experience to help out today.
Yeah, I think the experience helped a lot, and I just had determination, and I just went out there, and I think the experience definitely helped because you're able to know different parts of the course by heart. I mean, you're able, in the snow, you're able just to go forward and know that you know the flag's going to be there just because you're able to visualize it in your head. And I think that as a freshman, you know, it's hard for them because they don't have the experience of the course and the different parts of the course.
Yeah, so, you know, it's 37th as a sophomore, 7th last year, you know, and you finished well in 3,200 meters last May. So obviously you feel like, you know, when you come in, hey, I'm one of the best. I'm going to come on in and take charge. That's what you did.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, you know, state coming so close in track to a state championship, and I just think that really made me work hard during the summer because I realized coming so close but not getting it. And so I just went out and I just trained really hard and thought about, you know, the years past, things that had happened in the state with sophomore year. And so I just came in here and just did the best that I could and, yeah, just took on the challenge.
And there you see the top 5 AA girls teams. Palatine winning with 66 points, their second lowest winning total in their 4-year stretch of state titles. They easily outdistanced Glenbard North, their first trip ever to the state finals. They finished second, 142 points. Libertyville finishing third with 151, 6 points ahead of Elmhurst York, who had 157, and Hersey of Arlington Heights finishing 5th with 161 points.
No, it gives you some confidence knowing that other people think a lot of you, but there is a lot of pressure, and I think the girls trained well this summer. In September, we were kind of winning by quite a bit, but it was lackadaisical, and then we went to the Wheaton North powwow where there's 7 flights, and Naperville North beat us that day. And the girls kind of decided, well, we got to concentrate a little bit more in our races, so they started doing it, and they got, you know, it wasn't the training we needed, we just needed to concentrate more in the race, and they started concentrating more in the races, and it paid off for us, and they got focused on the state meet, and they decided what they do. And one thing we've preached all year is our team depth. We've had 10 different girls be in our top 5 in invites this year.
On the girls' side, you are establishing a very York-like tradition, and that's got to be very, very satisfying.
Well, that's a great compliment to get compared to York, because I respect Joe Newton. I was in high school when Joe Newton was coaching, and I've had several friends that ran for Joe Newton that are coaching nowadays, and I respect the man immensely. To even walk on the floor with him is a great honor. But we're trying to get something going there. Yeah, we have several back next year. We only lose one of our scorers. That's Julie from this year, and we have some other girls that didn't run today that have been in our top 5 this year, so we hope to keep it going a couple more years.
Back with more after this timeout on Sports Channel. This copyrighted broadcast is presented for the entertainment and non-commercial use of our audience. Any reproduction or other use of this program without the written consent of Sports Channel is strictly prohibited. And now we're getting ready for our final race of the day, the boys AA finals. And Lee, for the first time in a while, we've got somebody trying to repeat as champion, as Pat Joyce of Stevenson. Won as a junior last year. He's trying to become the 8th boy ever to win back-to-back state titles.
Well, he's the favorite in my opinion today. He's been beaten this year by Chris Brown from Libertyville, but I think today Joyce is the one to go after.
Those two have gone head-to-head time and time this year. In fact, while Brown did beat Joyce early in the year, Joyce has come back and beaten Brown 4 other times. So it may be a case of Joyce's race to win or lose. He went out strong last year. Do you expect him to do the same thing this year?
The times I've seen him run, he will. I think he'll take charge early in the race.
And then somebody from the central Illinois area, Adam White from right here at Peoria, Notre Dame, very familiar with this course, and he was the winner of the East Peoria sectional.
I expect him to be up near the front with the leaders.
And there could be a host of others. In fact, it may be a battle for second and third among some other good Chicago area runners like George Patrolak of Lincoln Way, Tom Boyd of Willowbrook, and Brett Siglin of West Chicago. Now, team-wise, York going for its 4th consecutive state championship. And they have been literally the king of the hills here at Detweiler Park since the event moved here. But they showed they were human, only a 1-point win over St. Charles in the sectionals last week.
Well, Joe will tell you, as he tells his kids, they always run well here. They never, ever run poorly, in his words, at the state meet. At the same time, Jim McNider's Schaumburg team has run well and has a history of doing well here. They're the only other team to win this state title since 1979 other than York.
In fact, Schaumburg beat York earlier this year at the Pirate Invitational at Palatine, so that was an early message that Schaumburg means business this year. I think York, though, is going to have to really run almost a perfect race and really reach down deep inside of that tradition.
I agree with you. They're a little more vulnerable this year than they've been, and if St. Charles runs at their potential, they'll be right there as well.
Let's go down to the starting line for the boys' AA finals. All right, starter Stu Regner is up on top of the ladder there at the starting line, getting ready to get them started here in our final race of the day, the boys' AA finals. You've taken a look, and Lee, the sun has broken out. We're not about to get the suntan lotion out here just quite yet, but the conditions have improved, and the runners are off. And the large crowd has assembled along both sides. This is a great spectators course here at Detweiler Park. And we'll watch and see if anybody splits off far wide to the right or left. Right now they basically stay in one large pack here as we're off and running 3 miles here in the boys' AA finals. But what has happened, Lee, is with the snow that has collected, and it's a wet snow, along with the leaves that have obviously collected here in autumn, you've got the makings for, at times, a very slippery course, especially making some of those turns.
Well, the rain has stopped at this point, but you're exactly right. I've looked at some of the turns. There is mud and a lot of leaves that are wet.
York has gone far out, running in a pack. They're in white over green, far out to the left side, and they're staying in a pack right now as we are 1:11 into the boys' AA finals.
It looks like they may have used a delayed start, counted 1 or 2 seconds, then moved to the right because they're out there where they're going to run this first turn unobstructed.
And they have done that before.
Oh, a number of times.
Both teams, though, Schaumburg and York, so very experienced here at Detweiler Park, so neither team really has an edge
well,
there.
York was in box 6, and that's something that Joe likes to do when they're on the inside.
Already out quickly, we've got our defending champion from Stevenson, Pat Joyce, and as he did last year, he has moved out into the lead. We are 1:47 into the boys' AA final. Coming up on the first half-mile mark and going out with Joyce is George Patrolak from New Lenox, Lincoln Way, who has had a solid season out there in the suburban Chicago area all year. In fact, Patrolak now is taking the lead.
Well, Patrolak's the number 3 returner in this race from last year. You know, we didn't mention it earlier, but 8 of these young men ran in the 3,200-meter run last spring in the state meet, and we're finalists.
We're at 2:18. We went by the half-mile mark. Patrolak, the Lincoln Way sectional winner and the Sandburg regional winner and the conference champion from the Sicko West, as he has gone out strong with Pat Joyce of Stevenson. Running back, leading the pack for third right now is from Rockford Jefferson, wearing number 434, Jeremy Leonard. He is a senior. Also, I see from West Chicago, Brett Siglin, one of the outstanding Chicago area performers. He is also up in that pack as
And
well.
his right
now,
or our
fifth.
left, it looks like Adam White from Peoria Notre Dame
Yeah.
also.
He has Irish across his singlet. Also, I see Chris Brown of Libertyville running alongside Jeremy Leonard. So the favorites have moved up early. Right now, we are at 3:24. Getting ready to make the turn around the tree here behind the start-finish line area at Detweiler Park. Joyce makes the turn first. Petrolak right behind. Brown back in third. Adam White is in fourth. And Siglin right now is in fifth. We are at 3:45. We're coming up on the 1 mile. We're at 4:37. In fact, they're now calling it off at 4:38 as they go by 1 mile. And it's been Petrolak and Joyce with a slight lead over the pack, which includes Brown and White and Siglin.
Now, these two took off a little bit after the 3/4 mile mark, opened up a little bit of a lead on the rest of the field, but Joyce looks very determined at this point, has opened up about a 5-yard lead over Petrolak.
We are approaching the North Loop, and the leaders beginning to string out with Joyce, Petrolak, Brown, and Adam White, your top four. Brett Siglin right now running in fifth. And we will watch them head off to the North Loop. There goes your defending champion, Pat Joyce. Now there goes Brown moving in the second. Petrolak in third. Adam White is in fourth. Here is Brett Siglin of West Chicago. And behind them, there's Tom Boyd of Willowbrook alongside Jeremy Leonard. And we will keep an eye. We see Schaumburg now running with a pack of 2 runners. And there's third, fourth, and fifth.
And I see St. Charles as well, Tom, right there in the hunt.
St. Charles and Schaumburg right now, the early leaders. York is not running their typical pack right now.
No, not right now. They're spread out, and they're a little bit further back than I think Joe would want at this point.
As they come out of the North Loop, Pat Joyce of Stevenson has right now got about, well, at least a 10-second lead right now over second place in Chris Brown, and Brown's got to start making the move now if he is going to challenge Joyce.
I agree. This may be out of reach if he doesn't make a move. We're at about 8 minutes into the race right now.
Joyce right now saying, come and get me, guys, as we are at 8:08 into the boys' AA finals. Again, a 3-mile final here at Detweiler Park in Peoria, and the precipitation has ended, and conditions right now are about as good as we've had all day long.
Joyce has run much like Becky Coleman ran her race, much like Christian Natouche from Rushville ran his race. They took charge early and haven't relinquished it.
Pat Joyce trying to become the 7th boys 2-time champion. The last time somebody won it back-to-back in Class A was Troy Maddox of Streeter Woodland in 84 and 85. And he's trying to become the first AA since Graves did it back in 76 and 77. He was a 3,200-meter champ last May at Charleston in the state track meet and was 11th also in the 1,600-meter race. Now, that's not a bad double.
Well, you know he's got the strength. Obviously, he's got the leg speed.
And he's been here before. This is the same. This is a year ago revisited right now.
It's easy to see why everyone figured he'd be the guy to beat today, regardless of the loss earlier.
He's running well within himself right now.
Yes, he is.
And back in the battle for second place, it's Brown and Adam White, who is very familiar. He is from Peoria, Notre Dame, and is very familiar with this course. Right now we're at 9:29 into the boys' AA finals.
Approaching the 2-mile mark.
The battle right now is for 4th place lead because White and Brown have both easily distanced themselves from everybody else in the battle for second place.
And they may have closed a little bit of the gap between themselves and Joyce.
About 9:45 as they went by the 2-mile mark. 1 mile to go here at Detweiler Park. And you can see that the top 3 are far ahead of everybody else, with Joyce a lead over Chris Brown, who is now starting to pull away from Adam White and then maybe sees this is his last chance.
Brown's going to go after it, I think. He looks strong. You see his turnover, his leg and arm action seems to be increased. He may think he's got a shot at this still with a little over a half mile.
In fact, we take a look, and indeed, Chris Brown has narrowed the gap on Joyce, who might serve himself well right now to take a quick look over his shoulder.
Now, the crowd may help him by their reactions as we get closer to the finish line, but I'm certain at this point in his career he's not about to let up or give this thing away without a fight.
Chris Brown, who has moved into second place, third last year and was 8th as a sophomore. Brown with invitational victories at the Wildcat Invitational at Wheeling, a course record there. He was the winner at the Crete Mooney Powwow, which is an impressive large meet. Also with wins at the Liberty Invitational, and earlier this year won the Woodruff Invitational here at Detweiler. A 9-second win there. But just when it looked like Brown was closing the gap, looks like Joyce has pulled away and has lengthened his lead again.
Well, he's so efficient. You look at his style, very upright between the shoulders and the hips. Nice angle at the elbows. The knee drive is straight ahead. The toe, the foot placement are correct. Chin level. He's so relaxed, yet still running aggressively.
We are at 13 minutes exactly into this race.
Quarter mile to go.
And if Brown's going to make a move, it's going to have to be now or never. One thing you do remember, you do finish with that incline. You run uphill as you're right now going on a slight downhill incline. But those last couple of 100 yards are uphill. After we make this final little jog here past this turn, he turns a little bit to the right, and from this point on, you're running uphill just a bit.
We have seen a few runners misjudge that finish line by starting to spend it all a little bit too soon.
Heck, Joyce was catching up with us. He is finishing strong.
I think he's going to judge it as well as you could.
And Joyce receiving the accolades of the fans lining both sides of the stretch here as he is going to become our first IHSA back-to-back boys champion in Class AA since 1977, 15 years.
Please stay back. We have runners.
We are at 14:05.
And we've got to give credit to Chris Brown. He has made a noble run at this thing. Had to come from a great deal distance back.
But it looks like he is going to run out of time. So let's bring him on in, Pat Joyce of Stevenson. At 14:28, he puts his hand up in the air, signals number one. Indeed, he's number one. Chris Brown, a noble effort, in second at 14:35. And here comes Adam White of Peoria, Notre Dame, finishing third at about 14:45. Now we'll keep an eye. Here comes Tom Boyd of Willowbrook with a strong finish.
Tim Bro from East Peoria.
Tim Bro, who has been a contender. Hear more from him in years to come. Here comes Patrolak of Lincoln Way. Here comes the first York finisher coming down the line. Now we keep an eye. Here comes York's second finisher. Let's keep an eye out for Schaumburg. Individually in AA boys, they're in the top five with the sophomore from East Peoria, Tim Bro, finishing at 15 minutes even. Tom Boyd, who was 17th last year, the senior from Willowbrook, finishes at 14:59 and finishes fourth. Adam White, who was 16th a year ago as a sophomore, finishes third this year as a junior. He ran 14:47. He's from Peoria, Notre Dame. Chris Brown, third a year ago, second this year. The senior from Libertyville ran 14:36. And Pat Joyce, the senior from Stevenson of Lincolnshire, the state champion for the second consecutive year with a time of 14 minutes and 30 seconds.
It's just unbelievable to come back and win a second state championship. It was very, very hard. I give a lot of the other runners credit, and I just want everybody to know that I didn't do it myself. It was my father. Without him, he is just amazing. My father is unbelievable, and my coaches, and just everybody, the fans that supported me, but my father and Jan, my mother, she's just unbelievable. They're just amazing how they have helped me to win these state championships.
When you win a title like this, you first time since 1977, does it really hit you where your name is going to fit in IHSA cross-country history, or is it something you can worry about when you're a grandfather?
It really hasn't sunk in that I've won a second one. It usually doesn't sink in until I read the papers the next day, but it's great to know that I'm going to be one of the few that have done this, and it's just great. It's just a great feeling.
So the Dukes of York do a point better than winning last year, 75 points. And they had, again, about a 30-second spread, 4th through 26th places. They win their 17th overall title, and that string goes all the way back to 1962. They have won now 10 of 13 state titles decided since 1980. St. Charles finishing second with 104 points. Schaumburg, who was second a year ago, finishes with a trophy in third place at 115 points. Libertyville finishing fourth at 131 points, and Palatine finishes fifth at 221.
Does it feel the same now as it did 1962, your first state championship?
This was our 30th anniversary, and I have a saying how sweet it is, and I think it gets sweeter as you get older and you get mellower and you love your kids more and more and more, and it never gets old.
We were watching as they went to the North Loop. You looked to be in trouble at that point. The line had spread out, and it really looked like they would have to, they really sucked it up in the last half of that race.
Well, here's the secret on that, Tom. This is the 9th state championship that we have won, taking a delay at the starting line. We had box 6, which is 14 boxes inside the first curve. And if you don't get over, you get mauled at the first curve. So we take 1,001, we let the whole field go. At the 220, we were dead last. We had the last 7 positions, and they had to come from last to first. And it's a tough hole. But they believe in that system, and they know that they're going to be on the outside, and it works. But we don't get there till the very end.
For Lee Halberg, I'm Tom Stocker. Thanks for being with us. This event was produced and directed by Bob Albrecht. Remote facility is provided by New Year Productions. The executive producer is John Toohey. The preceding has been an exclusive presentation of Sports Channel.